HarperCollins presents The Personals by Brian O'Connell. Read by me, Brian O'Connell. Introduction. The story goes that Ernest Hemingway and a few of his literary pals were knocking about the Algonquin Hotel in New York one night in the 1920s, before they had the joys of social media to help them avoid conversation, and they began challenging each other to write a novel using just 6 words. Cutting a long story short, Hemingway is said to have won hands down with the words, "For sale, baby shoes, never worn." He's reputed to have said that those 6 words were the best he ever wrote. They are loaded with life experience, love, loss, death, and hope perhaps. A 6-word portal into lived experience that Dorothy Parker or William Carlos Williams might have been proud of. The only problem is, while this sounds a plausible story that has been handed down over decades as literary fact, it probably never happened. Or if it did happen, it almost certainly predated Hemingway and his bohemian clique. An essay about a similar short story by William R. Kane appeared in 1917, and a newspaper column by R.K. Moulton in 1921 pointed to an advert he had seen. Baby carriage for sale, never used, and informed his readers that it embodied the plot of a story. The Hemingway anecdote probably evolved over time, as a literary agent more or less admitted decades later when he said that he first heard the story from a newspaper syndicator in the mid-1970s, more than a decade after Hemingway had died. The point is that classified ads have long held fascination as a rich source of human experience and stories. When starting out in journalism in local media, I remember staring out of the window on a dreary Tuesday morning, stuck for story ideas for that morning's pitching session. I shared my frustration with an older editor, who told me to try the small ads. So I did, and I've returned to them again and again in the 2 decades since as a source of stories. In an era of PR handlers and press releases, of government advertising camouflaged as journalism, and carefully chosen interviewees who are sometimes overcoached and underwhelming, the world of classified ads, both online and in print, offers an unfiltered window into society. I've spent almost 2 decades in journalism, and something interesting has happened in that time. People have never put as much of themselves out there as they do today, whether through social or digital media, or by sharing their stories or opening up in more traditional media. There have never been so many filters or gatekeepers trying to shape those narratives. Sometimes an interviewee may have shared their story online, had a media training workshop, or may already possess a them and us mentality about journalists and the media in general before I even get to speak to them. Some of that mistrust is warranted, and very healthy, of course. But there's also cynicism in a lot of encounters, and many more competing agendas than previously when I sit across from someone and press record. When using Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook Live, video and audio messaging, we are all much more aware of how we project ourselves than ever before. As a result, people often display a caginess and deep self-awareness of how they conduct themselves during an interview. One contradiction I've come across is that the more people are willing to expose of their lives online, the less personal and intimate they may want to be in one-to-one encounters. Authenticity can become a casualty, chance encounters become less likely, and conversations without agendas are at a premium. Hopefully, because of all that, you can see why personal ads and the people and lives and secrets and stories and heartbreak and quirkiness that sometimes lie behind them are so appealing to this 40-something and somewhat sentimental hack, and why I thought they would work well collected in a book. The ads allow me to move away from the managed world of spin doctors and carefully planned media campaigns to a less self-conscious world, one that I think is at times more authentic. Of course, part of this book is about items for sale, but that section is also about the off-piste moments, when an ad for a ring turns into a discussion about dementia, or a poster for sale reveals the struggles of independent shops in rural Ireland. These ads also show how letting go of an item becomes a lesson in how
Sample complete. Ready to continue?